Well, overall, listen, I had it was this was fun. It was definitely better than the first one. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are back. The Eye of the Storm podcast. I hope you guys missed us because we know we missed you, all 17 of you. Shout out to the new subscriber that just subscribed. I think it was yesterday. Shout out to you. Welcome to the family. But hey, guys, I'm here with my boy Daniel.
Hey,
Daniel, do you want to introduce? You want to tell people what we're back with?
so this is our second episode of our series Have You Seen, in which we talk about a movie that one of us has only seen for the first time recently and the others know fairly well. Today we're talking about Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, which I've seen many times and is among my favorite movies, and you just saw it this week for the first time.
Yeah.
So, do you want to give a brief summary of what the movie is about and the plot, and then we can talk about what impression it made on you?
Well, what I got from it is now they're actually up against the what they call the new Empire.
Just the Empire.
Yeah, just the Empire. Pretty much, literally, just the rebels, Luke Skywalker and the rebels, and Princess Leia, and I keep forgetting Indiana Jones's name. I keep calling him Indiana. I keep forgetting his name. Han, is it Han?
Han, yeah.
Han, yeah, yeah. So literally, the Empire called them the rebels, and then literally the rebels against the Empire. Literally, that's what it is. There was a lot that was revealed though in this film. Should I just get straight into it? I think we should just get
so last week we talked about episode 4, which we were mixed on, right? You didn't hate it, but it also didn't wow you. Specifically, I think you talked about the pacing, that there was just too much new stuff and too much and not enough action essentially. There was not enough stuff happening. So was this similar?
No, this one felt more grittier. I felt like with this one, it was like the Dune franchise, right? So Dune 1, I kind of felt the same way. I said it's all right, but I didn't understand the hype of it because it was very, it was introducing a new world. It was very political. So and it had some bits of action, but it just wasn't in comparison to Dune 2. The action was pretty much non-existent. Now Dune 2 is the same way that I feel. The way that I feel about Dune 2 is the same way I feel about Star Wars. Not in terms of if I enjoyed it or not. In terms of just like the pacing, the action, and like character arcs developing. So this one, I felt like this was like a chunk of an important chunk of the franchise in terms of like the whole story as a whole. So yeah, man. This one, it definitely was different, thankfully, and it was better.
What's the one thing that stood out as this is what episode 4 was missing? Is it because it's darker? Is it because we go to more in different places? Is it because we see more of the Empire? What caught your interest?
That's the thing. I don't think episode 4 was missing anything. I just think with episode, like I said, if this was a journey, right? It's a start of a journey. So I think the beginning was all like the first movie was always going to be, it wasn't going to be like all up in your face with the action and just like the big chunk of the story. Like I think that's why I think the big chunk of the story was this one, was Empire Strikes Back. So with the first one, like I said, I don't think it was missing anything in particular. I think it was right, it just wasn't for me. And I think obviously with the points that we stated last time, it had nothing to do with what it was missing. I just think it was the beginning of a journey, and a lot of the times the beginning of a journey isn't going to be, well, it depends if it's done right. Like I said, Dune, even though Dune 2 is one of my favorite films of all time, Dune 1 wasn't. Till this day, Dune 2 definitely makes Dune 1 way better, but it just isn't like, it wouldn't even be my top 10. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be my top 10 of all time. So I definitely think with Star Wars, it wasn't missing. The first one wasn't missing. It wasn't missing anything. It just, it was a start of a journey, and now it's just one of them ones where I just had to be patient and just continue on watching and see how it develops.
Yeah. So one thing that really kicks into gear in this movie is Luke's development and his arc, right? So in the first one, he's this wide-eyed farm boy who's very naive. He's very impatient. He's just beginning to understand what the galaxy is like and what's out there and his place in it. And in this one, it's quite different, right? And I think in the last episode, you also weren't terribly impressed by Luke. If I remember correctly. So how did Luke come across in this one?
Yeah, Luke came across very, like you said, very impatient. Even Yoda, the introduction of Yoda, which was a bit surprising. He pretty much solidified that. He was a bit of a hothead, which makes sense. Not a hothead in a bad way. It was just like a hothead, as in like he wanted to, in a way, seek revenge, but at the same
Mm.
time, he wanted to, protect the people that he loved, for example. So
Was he out for revenge?
yeah, it was well. At first, he was on a rescue mission,
Yeah.
which led him to, go against Darth Vader. But at the same time, I still think from the obviously the death from his aunt and uncle was still kind of in him, and it was still brewing. Because especially
Mm.
when he actually encountered Darth Vader, even in that, I don't know, even in the when he was training with Yoda, he went into some sort of cave, and then he ended up seeing Darth Vader, which was actually himself.
Yeah.
Even there, right? The fact that Darth Vader even appeared, that showed that obviously that tells that not only does that show that's his biggest threat, but it shows that that's one of the I'm guessing the people that appeared there was one of the most like the people that he hated most. But at the same time, it was symbolic because obviously it
Mm.
was really him underneath the Darth Vader mask. But
Yeah.
it was still Darth Vader, so it's still a representation of his biggest threat as well as the person that he hates most. So in a way, you could say it was like a revenge. Like a revenge was always
Yeah.
brewing.
I mean, he doesn't go out to get revenge for his aunt and uncle, right?
Mm.
If anything, he moves on from them a bit quickly. I think you could say that it's on his mind, right? That Vader is still the person who killed his only family. So, and Luke is also really being put through the ringer here, right? We see a more mature Luke. He's been a leading figure in the rebellion for 3 years. I don't know if they call him a general yet, but he's like a senior figure, right? And everybody knows him, and he's a hero for having destroyed the Death Star in the last movie. But he goes from one low point to the next, right? From the scene where he gets abducted by the snow monster, right, the Wampa, in Hoth, to all his struggles with the Jedi training, to finally his defeat against Darth Vader in the end, right? So he's kind of a chump in this, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he does develop though. He grows into the name, worthy of the name, if that makes sense. So in terms of like, because like I said, I mentioned before, like, Luke Skywalker was a name in the film industry which was seen as freaking Goku in anime. You know what I'm saying? So I'm starting to
one of the big names in
exactly.
fiction, yeah.
So I feel like with this film, I'm starting to see that, especially when he was training with Yoda, and especially with his encounter with Darth Vader. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see Luke Skywalker. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
his character in this one, I definitely felt way better about it here in comparison to the first film. Overall, listen, this was fun. It was definitely better than the first one. You know what? I'd give this film a 6 out of 10. The first one I gave 5 out of 10. This one I give a 6 out of 10. It was like I said, it was definitely funner than the first one. It felt more grittier. It definitely felt more fast paced at times. Sometimes it did feel like scenes where it was like skipping into scenes, but that's fine. That's something which I could look past. But there were other talking points which I enjoyed, especially like with Darth Vader's character in this one, like his kills,
Yeah.
especially with the Admiral, like that scene where he killed the Admiral so like the way that he just kills the admirals and then goes to the next admiral. I think he killed like was it 2 admirals?
I think 4,
Oh
at
yeah.
least.
Okay,
Yeah, pretty much in every scene he kills somebody.
exactly. So it was
Right.
like this guy is just getting more crueler and dark by the minute. And also there was a scene where one of the admirals walked in when his helmet was off.
Mhm.
And then you kind of see like his burnt head. I was like, oh crap! That scene I don't know. That scene was just real cool. I don't know because the way the admiral was just he looked so scared there. I was like, oh wow! Just
Yeah.
looking at it, it was amazing. It was amazing. But
Yeah. So Darth Vader last time was a highlight for you, right? So
yeah.
would you say this topped it? Like
Yeah.
compared to the first movie, how would you describe Vader in this? In terms of being interesting, or his presence, or his character?
I'd say Darth Vader was more in control in this film because it felt like he was answering to people in the first one. But this one, he was the main guy, as in like he is the pretty much the antagonist. Like he's the one that's making the rules this time. Like he's just the dark force. Like I could feel his dark force and I could literally feel it in this one.
We mentioned already that Vader is really violent in this, right? He's really he punishes every bit of failure essentially with instant death. And we've seen that kind of character in other movies, right? Notably Rebel Moon. And a lot of the time, I think it doesn't really work, right? Because it kind of comes across as just pointlessly violent without any sense behind it. or you wonder how these people even operate, if they're constantly killing each other and so on. Would you say it worked here, and if so, why? Or would you say that it kind of falls into that category as well? Like, did it make sense to you that he would operate this way, or that the Empire would function in this way?
In terms of like the whole, when Yoda, like for example, right, when Yoda was warning Luke not to go and rescue his friends because he was scared that Luke will fall into the dark side. So the whole thing between, like, at first it's like it doesn't really make sense why he's so violent, but then when you take the whole light, the dark side and obviously the bright side, and then you take Luke being his son, which was a big discovery as well. I was like, whoa. When you take that into consideration, it's like, okay. Actually, no. I'm 50-50 because at the same time, it's like you don't necessarily have to be this violent to get what you want. You don't have to, especially when it comes to Luke. I don't know what made him think. First, I was like, I don't know what made him think he can actually bring Luke onto his side when Darth Vader was talking to his master. I don't know who his master. I don't know what the name was, but he was talking to some.
Yeah, he's just the Emperor.
Exactly.
In true Star Wars fashion, it's just the Emperor.
Exactly. So at first, I was thinking, I don't know why. Like, what makes him think he can turn Luke onto his, like, bring him onto his side? But
I think at this point he doesn't really know him yet, right? Like, they've interacted, but it's not like they've sat down and talked.
Exactly. I'm like,
I think it's more about potential.
Exactly, but especially with what you've done, I'm saying, who you've taken away from me, your approach has just been very violent. But then I realized, okay, this whole dark side thing. So obviously, Darth Vader's already fallen into the dark side, and obviously Yoda was warning Luke not to go. So like obviously because he was warning Luke not to go because Luke has obviously got this high potential that even Darth Vader sees. So then he's like, okay, so it kind of does make sense because it falls into like. Because Luke represents light, Darth Vader represents darkness, and Darth Vader's testimony to that, he's testimony to that darkness. So it's like kind of need it in this film to work, if that makes sense. Because Luke is a representation of light, and Yoda's warning him so he doesn't turn into another Darth Vader. So in terms of Darth Vader's approach, it's like I said, it was 50-50 because I don't know why he's choosing such a violent approach, but at the same time, I understand why, because he fell into darkness. If that makes sense.
And what I think this movie is beginning to paint a picture as well is that at least the Emperor and Vader don't seem to think that the Empire matters, right? They've found a new Force prodigy, right? Somebody who is strong in the Force and who can potentially be turned, and that is more important than the entire Empire together, right? But at least that's the impression I get when we see the scene where Vader is talking to the Emperor, right? And they basically make the plan of making Luke the main priority at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's like almost like the Empire is just an appendage, and what really matters is securing all the powerful Force users for yourself.
But what was interesting as well was Darth Vader's interaction with Luke, because he felt less dark. Even though that's his son, he didn't feel like he was like his interaction with his son kind of showed me, like he's not fully like there's still some light in him, even though he cut off his arm. Even though he's cut off his arm. He wasn't as dark as he was in comparison to the other people, like especially
in what way?
As in like he was still trying to provide him a way, like you could still see the whole father approach, like you could still feel there was some sort of I wouldn't say love, but there was some sort of want for him to be on his side, not from a power play opportunity, as in like you said, him and the Emperor's goals were just to collect all the powerful Jedis or whatever, like all the powerful people in that universe. It didn't feel like that. It felt like Vader generally wanted, like he didn't want to kill him. It felt like he generally wanted him on his side because he's his son. You know what I'm saying? So I felt that kind of like father aura in that interaction. Even though he did cut off his arm, it didn't feel like it was coming from an evil place. It felt like he didn't want to kill him. Like it felt like he was trying to save him in a way because he knows what would happen if Luke didn't join his side. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just felt with that scene, with the interaction, with their fight, he felt less dark. It felt like there was still some sort of light in him. I don't know.
Speaking of that whole thing, what did you think about the big reveal? Like one of the big plot twists in science fiction.
It makes sense because what's his name? What was it? His name Obi?
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, him and Yoda didn't want him going to. Like they were really against him going to go and rescue his friends. At first I thought maybe it's because of the whole dark side. Obviously he was scared that Luke was gonna, fall into the dark side. Obviously he's got a lack of patience, so he's easily triggered, right? But at the same time, it kind of makes sense like, okay, Obi must have knew that, that was his dad, so he didn't really want him to go because of that reason also. So in terms of like the whole revelation, I was shocked. I was like, oh, that was
So
it.
you didn't know this before?
No, I didn't know this before. Yeah, I was just like, oh, like, well, okay, so that means he killed his brother.
So what Obi-Wan said in the first movie is that both Anakin Skywalker, Luke's father, and Darth Vader were his students. And Darth Vader fell to the dark side, killed Anakin Skywalker, and then joined the Empire, essentially. That is what we were told in episode 4. So you can see it in one of two ways. One is it's just a retcon, right? And I don't think this was planned, but you can just say, well, it's kind of true, but it's also a retcon. Or you can say that Obi-Wan was kind of lying by omission and speaking in a figurative way, right? Because when Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, that's when the good man died and Darth Vader took over, essentially, right? That's what he's saying. Now that we know that they're the same person.
Okay. Well, I was surprised. It was a good surprise.
Do you think it makes the story better? Or should they just have been like without that we have the Jedi, we have the Emperor and Darth Vader, and they both are different ways of using the Force, right? The Jedi use it in this stoic kind of meditative way to be at peace with the Force, and through the Force they become powerful to protect the innocent, right? That's what the Jedi do. And then you've got the Emperor and Vader who, through intense emotions like hate and fear and anger, derive power, and that's how they seize political power, right? By taking over this empire that serves them. And Luke is kind of the next generation that's stuck in the middle, right? Where both sides want him to join them.
Yeah.
So would that be a better story if it wasn't for the family connection, do you think?
I think the family connection makes it more spicy, and it makes it more like, the stakes. Like there's more to lose. You know what I'm saying? Because they've added the whole family thing onto, already, the whole Jedi, the two sides already in terms of what they're fighting for. So now that they put the whole family theme into the mix, yeah, it just makes it more emotionally engaging, because it's like, damn, like I'm going against someone that I'm gonna eventually have to kill, because I don't see there being some sort of peace treaty where this war that they've got going on can just end with a conversation. I just don't see that happening. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to kill this guy, but this guy is my father.
Also his only remaining family.
Exactly.
Like if he wants family, it has to be Vader, right?
Yes, exactly. So I think that kind of adds the whole emotional, the emotional attachment side to this film, in terms of like, the audience getting emotionally invested into it. If they weren't beforehand, then this definitely would get them emotionally invested, because like, damn, this is your daddy.
Yeah. One other thing that we start to see more of in this one is the Jedi themselves, right? In the last movie, we got a bunch of lines from Obi-Wan, kind of his summary of what the Jedi are about, and here we actually see somebody being trained as a Jedi, and we see their ethos being used more, right? So first of all, did you know who Yoda was going into this?
I've seen Yoda.
So you knew. So the minute the little green guy showed up, you knew that was the Jedi Master he was looking for.
I knew that was Yoda, but I was surprised by the way that he introduced, like the way that they introduced him. I was like, I thought Yoda was more serious. Of course, he ends up being serious. Like that was all an act in the beginning, but still, I didn't think that side of Yoda. I was like, oh crap, like this is Yoda. Like,
so, but the thing about Yoda is, right, there's a couple of things going on here, right? So one of them is it's this idea that being a Jedi is not the same thing as being a badass warrior, right? And that is why Yoda is small and frail and old and still more powerful than anybody else, right? Because he's in tune with the Force. And then the second of all, we actually see the Jedi code or their way of thinking be put into practice, right? Because Yoda is trying to get Luke to think like a Jedi, right? Let go of your emotions, be at peace with your environment, act purely on instinct and not based on your emotions and things like that. And then the third one is it gives Luke something to rebel against, right? Because he actually walks away from his training. So after going through the basics and after getting a better understanding of what the Force is and learning to lift rocks and all of that, he walks away from his Jedi training because he cares more about his friends, which means he's acting on his emotions. He's doing exactly what Yoda told him not to do.
But it came with consequences. He lost his arm.
Yeah. But also, Yoda is saying this is how you fall to the dark side, is you give into your emotions, specifically fear of losing the people you care about, right? So that is one of the things he warns Luke about. So we're introduced to the basic philosophy of the Force and what it can do, but then Luke walks away from that in order to save his friends, and that's when he meets Vader, who is also trying to recruit him. So what do you make of that whole thing?
You know what? At first, when Luke pretty much left when they warned him not to, I thought that was actually a challenge. As in, like, I thought it was a challenge, as in he was doing the right thing, as in like he was supposed to do what he did, as in he was supposed to leave and go and save his friends, which shows that he's got he is the light, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the whole like that's why I'm a bit like, I'm not confused, but I'm a bit like, could you argue and say that him going to rescue his friends shouldn't necessarily put him into the dark side? It should show that he's got some light in him, because the fear of losing your loved ones, because that whole like mythology of like the fear of losing your loved ones is what can put you into the dark side. That's a bit like.
So the idea is essentially that destructive emotions lead you to do destructive things, right? So it's not just about being afraid that you will lose your loved ones. It's what you will do out of that fear, right? And people do desperate or questionable things for good reasons, right? Like, I want to not lose my family, or I want to provide for my family, or something that by itself is a good thing, but it causes them to do harmful things. This is kind of that writ large, right? Where Yoda is basically saying, if you act on these kinds of emotions, you will do destructive things, and that is what the dark side is, or that is what will lead you to the dark side. And this is exactly what Luke has been doing here, right? So what Yoda wants him to do and what Obi-Wan wants him to do is complete his training, become powerful enough to use the Force to its fullest potential, or his fullest potential, and then go fight Vader and save the galaxy. And he just walked away from that because he cared about his friends.
But that could have led him into the dark side, though, because of the treatment that him and his friends were receiving, like Han, especially Han, the treatment that he was receiving, the punishment that he was receiving. I was thinking, damn. Like, why is he targeted so much? Like, they were literally whooping him. I was like, whoa. But yeah, so that could have potentially led him to the dark side, though. Because imagine if he did complete the training, and then he ends up going to go and fight Darth Vader, realizing that most of his friends are all dead. That could have, created resentment towards Yoda and Obi, and then, he could have ended up like Darth Vader as well. So I personally think Luke did the right thing, even though he ended up losing his arm for it. I think he did do the right thing. It made it more like, it made it more good, because it was like, damn, like, I just know, like, Darth Vader is the guy is a freaking snake. Do you know what I'm saying? What I mean by, like, he'll end up getting his way, whether it's through violence or whether I could tell as well that he was one of those guys that could kind of talk his way through into what he wants. It definitely made the stakes higher, because you knew what was going to happen, but I still think he made the right decision. It was a good decision. In hindsight, of course, it wasn't a good decision because he lost his arm, but at the same time, he did save his friends. So I still think he made the right decision.
And then when he walks away from his training, Yoda and Obi-Wan talk, right? And Obi-Wan says something like, "This was our last chance to defeat the dark side," or something like that. And then Yoda says, "No, there's another."
Yeah.
What did you make of that line?
I have it as another. So tell me there's another Jedi out there. Well, there's another person out there who's meant to become a Jedi. So it's telling me that Luke isn't the main. Luke. I don't want to say Luke isn't the main guy, because, like I said, Luke Skywalker's name is prolific in the film industry. So maybe there is another person out there that know. Yeah.
Any ideas who that might be?
I wouldn't say Han. He doesn't really seem like a Jedi type. The only person I can think of is Princess Leia, and the reason why I say that is because even though I haven't seen Star Wars, I have seen reports like of the new Star. We spoke about this. There was like a new Star Wars movie that's going to be based around her. So was it her or someone else?
No, that's somebody else. But Leia appears in the new trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So you may have heard things there. So you're basically saying the other prospect is one of the other two protagonists.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I think so. I'm not sure. But question, right? In terms of Luke, why is he so important? Because I don't think they've kind of revealed that. How did they come to the conclusion that he's a very powerful, like he could become a very powerful Jedi? Because I haven't seen that yet, especially within his training. Obviously, you see that he lacked faith and belief when Yoda was trying to tell him to lift up his spaceship.
But
It's
that's
like,
not because he wasn't powerful enough. That was because he was in the wrong frame of mind.
yeah, but still, where did they get this mindset? Where, like, not even mindset, where did they get this belief that Luke is pretty much the chosen one? Because he hasn't really shown, or like, he hasn't really shown anything. There hasn't really been, like, during
Yeah.
the two films, nothing was really said about him, as in, like,
So really answering that would be a spoiler for the next movie. But also, Jedi can sense when somebody else is strong in the Force.
okay.
Right? So the Force is this force field that connects all living things. And being strong in the Force means that you have a strong connection with it. Everybody has a connection with it. But for most people, it's subconscious and they can't actively manipulate it. Being strong in the Force means you have a strong connection to the Force and you can interact with it in a significant way. Right?
Yeah.
So, and that is basically random. You were born with it or not. And you can train, but you can't. Like, if you don't have the talent, then you don't have it. It doesn't matter how much you train. So they can sense that somebody has a strong connection to the Force. And so just by looking at him, they can tell he has that kind of aptitude. Also, when he destroyed the Death Star in the last movie, he did that with the Force. They've been watching him for a while now. So even without training, he's been doing things with the Force. So all they basically know is he's the son of Anakin Skywalker and therefore of Darth Vader. And he is one of the most powerful Force users in this generation. Right? So the Jedi, I think this has been said, the Jedi were basically wiped out by the Empire. So Obi-Wan and Yoda are the only ones remaining, and they're in hiding. And now they encounter the son of Anakin Skywalker, who is strong in the Force and can be taught. And so they think that this is basically their chance to defeat Vader and the Emperor. That's basically what's happening.
Where the hell is Obi?
He's dead. He died early in the last movie.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like he died. It just seemed like he disappeared.
He's a ghost. Oh, you mean because well, he is dead, and his mind has become one with the Force, and so he can still appear as a spirit to people, and he does that a few times in this movie. So he is dead, and he can have limited interactions with people by communing with them and appearing to them.
Was there a reason why he just self-destructed?
It's not explained.
Because that was a mystery to me. I was like, wait, what the hell is this guy doing? Is this guy hiding and communicating through his spirit? Or like, what, is he alive? Is he dead? I didn't know. I was thinking, like, is he just not just appearing?
Okay, that wasn't clear to me. So he is supposed to have died in that fight against Vader. If you remember, the dialogue goes something like, Vader basically says he's too strong and Obi-Wan can never win. And Obi-Wan says something to the effect of, because you're fighting me, I've already won, kind of thing. And then he surrenders, right? He turns off his lightsaber and surrenders essentially, and Vader strikes him with the lightsaber, and then the empty robe falls to the ground. So he did this on purpose, right? He didn't lose the fight in that sense. The outcome was exactly what he wanted it to be. But yeah, so from now on he's appearing as a ghost, and he can still be a mentor to Luke, but that's it. Obviously, that's a summary of what has happened so far, right? If something different happens in the next movie, then I'm not going to tell you, and we're going to have to see. But that's basically what's going on. He died fighting Vader and is currently a ghost and is still there as a mentor to Luke, but Luke is the one who has to take action. One more thing I wanted to get into. In this movie, we go to a bunch of different locations, right? We start out on the ice planet Hoth. We go to Dagobah, the swamp planet. We go to Cloud City. And then we see a bunch of the ships, both Rebellion and Empire, right? So there's more than doubles the number of places we've seen of the galaxy compared to the last movie, right? So any impressions, like, in terms of the world, or like last time you said like you weren't terribly fascinated by the world and didn't really want to see what was around the next corner. Has that changed at all now that you've seen several more places?
Yeah, definitely with the what was it? The
Cloud City.
Cloud City, yeah, especially that one. That one, I was like, oh crap, Cloud City definitely piqued my interest. Oh, the Yoda's place, I was surprised because it's Yoda, and it's like, okay, Yoda lives here. Okay, wow, I wonder why.
Well, he is in hiding, right? Like I think that like the Empire is looking for him, and he's been in hiding, similar to Obi-Wan has been in hiding in this backwater planet. Yeah. So they are staying out of sight, and that's why they're in these places.
Yeah. In terms of the Arctic, that was, I didn't really get much from that because the Battle of Hoth is one of the big iconic images from the series,
Any takeaways from that, or was it just was it fine?
You know what it is? I realized. I think the background music, right? Because that battle was good, but I think the background music for me is what was kind of affecting my experience. Like you know the whole Air Force scene. I don't even know if you remember the music where the whole like the Empire was attacking the rebel base, and then the whole the spaceships were attacking, and then obviously the spaceships were shooting each other, well shooting down the Empire's would you guys refer to those robots?
The
Empire.
walkers.
Yeah, the walkers. Yeah, yeah. That scene was good. It was just like the background music just wasn't doing it for me, man. I just felt it's kind of affecting my experience. I wouldn't say ruining it, but it was affecting it in a negative way. So, but the battle scene was good. It was good. But but like I said, I've seen but I can't lie and sit here and say, oh, it was mesmerizing because I've seen so much sci-fi movies and. Of course, technology has improved and stuff. And like, I'm never gonna forget the fight scene in Dune, one of the best fight scenes that I've seen in any movie I've ever watched. So, I do have to kind of look in a different lens. Like, okay, this for its time, I'm pretty sure people would have been mesmerized. The same way I was mesmerized with Dune, I'm pretty sure people would have been mesmerized with that scene as well. So, for its time, it was really good. For how I felt about it now, in terms of my time, what I've seen, it was alright. It didn't really stand out from other stuff that I saw, but it was all right. It was, but like I said, it was made in the 80s. Was it 80s, I believe?
Early 80s, I think 83.
There you go. So yeah, man,
80.
it was. Yeah, so yeah, for its time, I'm pretty sure people were amazed. 100%.
To wrap things up, next movie is called Return of the Jedi. It's the conclusion of the trilogy. What are your predictions and expectations?
I think Luke's going to become much wiser because now he's got no arms, so he's gonna have to kind of rely on pretty much, he's gonna when someone loses a part of themselves, they always become wiser. They always become wiser. They have to rely on other senses, they have to rely on other parts of their body, and they just have to become more mature and more appreciate more of the other parts of their body. You know what I'm saying? So I believe Luke's definitely going to form into I feel like he's definitely going to form into this Messiah-like being. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm definitely intrigued to see. I'm low-key excited to see. I definitely want to see the outcome that happens between him and Darth Vader. Like, what the hell's gonna happen there? I wonder if Darth Vader's actually gonna end up, if he's gonna end up dying, and if he does end up dying, does he end up dying fully into the dark side, or do we see a different Darth Vader where like a father? Do we see a father figure? Pretty much is what I'm trying to say. I wonder what's gonna happen to Luke as well. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so you're more invested now than you were after seeing the first one.
Definitely.
Okay.
In terms of the other characters, by the way, a couple of mentions. I did like what's his name. I thought Chewie's presence was definitely valuable. Yeah, I felt like he definitely added he added a comedic value to the film. Also, what's the gold robot's name?
C-3PO.
Yeah, I felt sorry for him, man. But to be fair, I understood why people weren't really taking him serious and why they weren't really listening to him. It's because he reminds me of Google. Like, he'll give you the worst. You know when you search up like, oh, okay, I'm coughing a lot, and then Google will give you the worst possible scenario of why you're coughing, and yeah, he kind of felt like that as well, because like he would give the worst. He would give statistics a lot of the times, and he would like give the worst case scenario of what could happen. So I understand why a lot of the times they weren't really paying him too much mind. But yeah, his presence was definitely. I liked him as well. Leia's and Han's relationship, I definitely liked how that developed. I wasn't surprised, but at the same time, it was surprising because to be fair, a lot of the times when girls are when they argue with a guy a lot, it means they kind of do like them. So I wasn't surprised that happened. But their relationship, it blossomed into something nice. Yeah. So yeah.
Any predictions for where Leia ends up, like for the next movie?
One of them are gonna sacrifice themselves for either each other or the group, as in like Leia or Han. I'd probably say it's Han because the brutal punishment that he received could potentially foreshadow his future. I think one of them are gonna sacrifice each other. Maybe Leia might end up sacrificing herself for the greater good. Who knows?
And Han is in a tricky predicament, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, him as well, dude. Who? What's the guy with the green helmet? What was his name?
That's Boba Fett.
Yeah, you know what? I found him very interesting because Darth Vader, yeah, um, he treated everyone else as a subordinate, but him, he kind of treated them with respect. Because I remember with what was the black guy in the world where Han's friend?
Lando.
Yeah, the way that pretty much Darth Vader kept on changing, obviously his proposal that he made with
Yeah.
him, like you could show that there was no respect there. You could show that there was no respect for the people that was working under him, his admirals. But when it came to the Boba Fett, you said
Yeah.
when it came to him, he kept his promise. Like even
Yeah.
when he was saying, even when Boba Fett was saying to him, because obviously Han, when they put Han in that I don't know what it was, but where they kind of like froze him or something like that.
Yeah. He's like it's called carbonite.
Yes, yes.
He's basically frozen.
Yeah, and then obviously he was telling Darth Vader, "Oh, but you promised I'd get him." And then he said, "If he ends up dying, then I'll give you double or something like that."
Compensation. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, "Oh, this Boba
Yeah.
Fett must be a
Well,
serious guy."
Boba Fett is the kind of guy who needs to be told no disintegrations.
Okay, okay. What
Right.
did you find out?
That was my line in the movie
Oh,
when
wait. Oh,
Vader hires the bounty hunters. He basically outlines the job and then he turns to Boba Fett and says no disintegrations.
oh yeah, okay, yeah. I remember. Yeah. Yeah, so that literally told me that this guy's a serious guy. I was like, oh crap. So I'm kind of interested. I'm interested, definitely interested to see more of him and to see
Mm.
if how much he has to play in the third film. And I'm definitely intrigued to see what I want to see is him against Luke as well, because like, oh well, like, this is someone that Darth Vader clearly respects or doesn't want to, not I wouldn't say he doesn't want to mess with, but yeah, there's some sort of
Mhm.
respect there. So I want to definitely see I want to see an interaction between him and Luke, as in Boba Fett and Luke as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a
We-
good one.
We'll see.
Yeah,
All right, I think we're getting on in time. That was a good talk. It's really interesting to see how like your perception is changing.
mm.
Like after the first one, it kind of seemed like you were not really on board with it, but it seems like this one
Yeah,
kind of changed the game.
yeah, slowly getting there, slowly getting there.
Only 7 more to go.
Hey man, I'm ready.
All right, I guess we can call it here. And next week we'll talk about Return of the Jedi.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching today's episodes. Comment down below and let us know what you think. And yeah, we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.